Tanner Community Committee meeting on the 5th of September at 7:31. Item number 1 is apologies for absence. Received apologies from Councillor Sarah Miller. Do we have any others? Here. And Councillor Dave Robertson as well. Any others? I think we're all here. Good. Okay. Item 2, declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest in tonight's agenda? Item 3, public participation.
No public.
Doesn't appear that we have many members of the public here today. So given the weather, it's not surprising perhaps. Okay, item 4 is to approve various minutes. So we'll start with the Town and Community Committee meeting minutes held on the 4th of July rather. Anybody have any corrections, adjustments, comments? I see none. All those in favour? Thank you. And then we have the minutes of the event subcommittee held on the 22nd of August, 2023. Anybody have any? That's all right.
I noticed that it says in the agreement to contact the history of paintings in the Parlour. Valerie Alacia is as well. She is regular. In fact, I got an information pack from her from a few years ago. So she'd be happy to talk to you and help. She's very knowledgeable about not just paintings, but all sorts of things in the town hall and town. If you don't know her, I'm happy to introduce you. She quite frequently attends full council.
She's not online.
No.
You have to go up there with bits of paper and put them through her door or phone her.
Yeah, she does.
Doesn't do.
Or just wait until you bump into her in town.
This is true.
Hi Valerie, if you're watching. Okay, so all those in favour? Thank you. To note the minutes of the meeting, Henley and Bloom subcommittee held on the 22nd of August. Big congratulations again to the park staff for the 10th green flag award in a row. Well done. Did anybody have any additional comments, questions, corrections?
Did you say Henley and Blue?
Henley is a separate.
Oh, sorry, right.
They were circulated earlier.
Apologies.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, Councillor Kenyon.
So item number 6, it says to recommend to the TNC committee these various appointed members. So when do we do that?
Once we've approved it.
So if we approve the minutes, that's approved by default.
Okay, got it.
Let's have another vote on that. All those in favour? Thank you very much.
They're now committee members.
No, committee twice. Item 5, communications manager update. Thank you, Daisy, for providing that. Did anybody have any comments or questions related to the communications manager update? Or the Nintendo Switch?
Since we have Daisy here, have we arranged a basketball opening?
So it's being resurfaced on Thursday this week.
Okay, following the problem that we
This is to
had.
remedy the drainage.
Yeah, the drain, because of the wet weather when it was initially put in, it then wasn't living up to
The
expectations.
tarmac
So
was,
they've monitored
yeah.
it, because it's going to be dry this week, they're going to do that on Thursday. So we'll get that right, get that settled, and then we'll get a
Good.
proper launch. We've also got about 20 basketballs now downstairs that we can give out to children
Lovely.
every day and make it a nice thing, but until it's right.
Lovely, thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Two things. Could I just thank Daisy for actually including regular meetings of the marketplace on the website,
Yeah.
which I think is important because it is both for new residents but also for tourists that need to see what is happening in the marketplace. But also, I noted that the Visit Henley website has been worked upon. When may we see what's on it?
So the kind of skeleton of it, design-wise, is now together. So now I'm working through the actual content going on. So it's kind of pretend event on pretend date currently. So I need to actually get the content on. So if anyone wants to see the style of it.
I'd like to see it, and I also like to see the content.
Yeah, so the content's not on there yet. But
Okay, well, the
the
style.
style I can show you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hinton.
Yeah, some things that aren't on the report that I know that happened, was that Daisy organised, or certainly they got in contact with her and then it was organised, some really good PR around, first of all, the river issue that we've got with the pollution. And then GB News came down and did lots of interviews by the riverside, myself included. Didn't actually watch that back, but I know it was definitely played because I got a few texts when it was on the radio. So that was really good to promote that course, because that's something that we're really behind while we're trying to achieve bathing water status as a town. And then the other thing was the Kenton. So that didn't end up happening because I think they couldn't get hold of the chairman or something, but these are things that aren't on there that people wouldn't necessarily know about. I'm not the only one that's been involved in things like that. So Daisy's also been working with councillors and directing the media to speak to various people about issues that we care and that we concern about. And so yeah, I just wanted to mention that's the 15 minutes going on.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rice.
Kelly mentioned the Kenton, and it was great with the press release out, it's got front page coverage. It's a really good story. It's, the town council and the Kenton Theatre, a major amenity that the town has, and that we're working together, and we'll continue to work together and get more good news stories with good coverage like
It's
that
doing
one.
really well as well. Online there's been lots of really positive comments.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
What sort of
really.
feedback you had?
yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've seen a single one.
Great.
Now, I've been working on it behind the scenes, but I hadn't thought to suggest a press release. So when the chairman told you done, that was good news.
That was a good call, actually.
Mm.
Ahead of the game there.
Yeah.
And the fact that you had it ready and running when we had the meeting. That was actually very good planning.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Councillor Campbell.
To ask for a little bit of more information about the big thing.
Yeah, I haven't had it.
Okay.
So they came in to have a meeting with us. They're doing a big sing, which will be open to kind of over 10s in the morning and then under 10s in the afternoon. It's kind of free for everyone to come and just sing. So they haven't been able to give me images or details of exact timings or anything yet. So she's come in and discussed the idea and I said we can support it absolutely, so it'll be upstairs. But they haven't actually given me anything more. At the moment.
School children.
No, anyone, literally adults, grannies, everyone. The idea is it's a wellness, it's good for you to sing idea. So but I think the musical director's away. I think he's coming back this week. So then they're firming up what songs they're doing. I think they're going to do one from the canto for the kids, but then I'll do other stuff in the morning for everyone.
Okay, brilliant. And sorry, follow-up question. I noticed on the town centre manager update that the Heritage Open Days.
Yeah.
That will be, I know there's a press release or the other.
Yeah, so that's what's on in the press, and then I made a poster today that's gone up around town to kind of just list the QR code. There's so much information. We're open one day, but I feel places for free tickets for a week and various things. So I've just done a general, there's lots going on, follow the QR code to find out. Share it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, so the posters are up, press release went out last week, it's all been in the paper and Herald as well. So, great
Well done.
experience and you've done stuff, yeah.
Councillor Hunt.
Please give me a bit more information about the nature of the inquiries from the press and Thames Water that you've been dealing with.
Purely, they were doing interviews on it, so it's picked up a couple of times, and I've kind of directed it as and when. It hasn't been huge fun since.
So what were they asking about? Is it the works in the marketplace? Or?
No, just generally the result, I think, is more focused than the plumbing issues.
And Thames Water got in touch as well. What's it?
Thames Water, I basically feel like they're a PR machine at the moment because they don't share anything. So we end up getting all the questions of why are roads closed and why are there water issues and what is the works about. So I kept asking them, are you going to share information that we can then share? Because it's always cautious of sharing it as a town council, because then you kind of feel like putting a note on the bottom going, although it's not us and it's not our fault, in bold at the bottom. But they don't seem to share a lot, so I've
That's
just shared
disappointing.
what, yeah, I've shared what we know in regards to the square and Gillets and. Bridge, they're closing.
I don't know if I should be asking you this but do we know if the works are progressing on time?
I believe so.
The ones out there,
Yeah, they do seem to be.
they finished the actual job, they're actually
Yeah.
just,
That's all.
backfilling it all now.
Excellent.
So hopefully, I haven't been out there this afternoon to do training all day, but I don't know, they practically finished when I went out at lunchtime, so I don't know what state it's in now.
Certainly moved some of the barriers, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think by, it's meant by 11, isn't it? But I
Yeah.
think probably tomorrow, I thought, should
Perfect.
hopefully, fingers crossed, be finished.
Lovely, thank you. It'd be nice to have it ready for the hot weather. Sure, all
It
the,
is predicted.
sure all the restaurants and bars will be very happy to be able to
Summer,
get people back out there.
What actions are we going to take to make sure that the concern of the Yorkstone is put back in a way that it's
Good question.
carefully looked at, doesn't settle, doesn't get cracked?
Was definitely wondering about that, because when I saw the big stacks of York stones, I was like, I wouldn't know how to put those back in if it were me.
We
So,
can contact Aidan, who's been there sort of like the foreman out there, we've got all these details. I need to put another matting down to protect stones at the time. And he said, assured us he's actually, because they asked us if we want the 6 layers of tarmac that were there when they dug this up, and we want 6 layers back again.
Yeah.
So we
Well,
basically said,
I mean-
you know, we want it back as it was, so it's laid, it's a level
Yeah.
surface, and he said he will monitor it. And we, I think we have his details, we'll be in touch with him just to make sure we actually have his direct phone number, his mobile phone number, his email, and everything, he's given us all of it, so.
That's good news. I mean, the stones themselves, they appear to have been lifted properly in one piece and stacked sensibly. So
And they
they've
did dig
looked
up the
after the
garden.
actual stones at least.
Because they thought they were going to have to dig up the garden as well, which he actually managed to work around it, so he didn't touch the garden,
Right, okay.
which is good.
So we will live in hope.
Yeah, we will keep an eye on that, we will be monitored.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate this is a bit of a business subject, but then one of the problems in the past has been that after the Yorkstone has been lifted, what's underneath it disturbed, and the Yorkstone put back on top of it, sort of the underneath settles, the Yorkstone sinks and cracks. So what provision are we going to make sure that it is put back in a way that either won't settle or after it's settled, they are repositioned.
This is
It's
not
not
happened
a
going on the bridge, isn't it?
That's different. That was a lorry kind of going over the.
Yeah, a lorry going over stones that hadn't been set right. and
Well, they
cracking.
weren't the right spec, I don't think.
Oh, okay, right.
So they weren't designed to take an 18-ton, I think was the problem. But the same principle applies if they're not, if they are positioned on top of solid ground underneath, and any weight on them. And although they shouldn't, cars, bikes, even trucks do park on the marketplace. They shouldn't, but they will have to be able to withstand that.
They have been out there, and been out there seeing doing work.
No, well, yes, I have, but
They've got that big
not.
pounding thing, the
Yeah.
levels are lower tarmac, and they're pounding, put another layer back on top of it. Been out all day, I don't know what you call it, it's the thing that's pounding everything down.
Well, I think we can't really assess what they've done until they've done it.
But are they aware
there is
that
probably keep trying to fix it.
We've got his contact details.
Okay,
Yeah.
Before on the job, we've got all his
so they are responsible for ensuring the work that they do.
Yeah.
Councillor Candy.
Sorry, just say, I went to New Hampshire Golf for the first time last week, and it was busy. I mean, it was a lovely, lovely vibe, it was excellent, had a really great time. So just want to say, I finally made it, and I had a great time there. And my question is, it's brilliant to see all the wildflowers and to see the sign, but some of them are looking a bit faded. So I wonder if there's any opportunity to revitalise or use different things. And it's just a way of communicating that visiting potentially with wildflower gardening. You could look into kind of getting wooden stakes or something like that, so this is a wildflower.
Yeah, it's Kyle on the parks team who's responsible for planting, who's absolutely amazing with his vision for it and the different levels and the idea of the height, so you can't see other holes, so it becomes
Yeah.
like a surprise ground. He's got a great vision for it.
Yeah.
So we have put certain things up, but it is something we would look for next summer, being able to just explain more And also, yeah, the signage is tricky with the weather, but it's getting wet and some things are going to get bleached and so I'm not sure how much longer, you know, it's lasted 2 summers now. With some of the signage, so we might have to look at it. We have got another, we look twice a year, kind of have a really detailed walk round, so we will look at it from there. But I think generally the parks and the work we're doing, so I'd like to shout out.
Thank you very much, Nick. Moving on to item 6, we have the town centre manager update. Councillor Hopkins.
I have a few questions. One, I'd like to see more details about the historic Henley audio tour guide, if you can just pass that through, I appreciate seeing it. 2, I have a statement dated the 28th of February 2023 regarding banking provision in Henley. And I'd like to understand more about the deposit solution that is mentioned in your report. And 3, we had a climate emergency committee working group meeting today, where we talked about EPCs, and the statement was made by one of your colleagues that actually it shouldn't be climate emergency working group committee, it should be within the town centre, and talking to landlords in terms of what they need to do. I'm happy to provide the information, but it sounds to me as though the responsibility lies with the town centre manager.
I think I spoke to Kath about this today. She mentioned, whilst I'm happy to distribute information to the landlords we know, which is a few,
I know.
probably a handful out of the 120 that there probably are in town. I would be happy to help distribute information via the retailers. I mean, that's the best.
I think that's probably
database of the contacts we have. Whether they're going to, we can only ask them to pass them on to their landlords, etc. So I'd be happy to do that.
okay. I'll provide that for the information for the benefit of the people who are not familiar with EPCs. The EPC rating for both businesses and domestic premises is going up in 2027. And if the landlord doesn't achieve that, they can't lease it to other bodies, either commercial or domestic. The risk is that we could find that, and if you look at, there's no one else here, if you look at Newtown Road, that is a very significant low level of EPCs. And if we're not careful, or if we don't take the right action, you could find that Newtown Road would actually be closed because you cannot lease it anymore. And that's where we need to start communicating out. And I've done 2 articles in Henley Standard, but actually that we need to be communicating with landlords, probably via estate agents.
I'm happy to distribute whatever you have.
I'll provide that.
I think it needs to come from the Climate Emergency Working Group, so you give it the stamp of authority, but I'm happy to distribute it for you. I have the email contacts for most of the retailers. There's 2 or 3 commercial agents in the town, the main ones that I have contacts with, happy to distribute to them as well.
Okay.
And I think I have maybe half a dozen landlords that, you know, getting to the landlords a task in itself, which I've been trying to do
that fully.
other reasons.
Yeah. And I think it's a great.
Yeah, just to
Councillor Hinton.
sorry, Senator.
No, anyone else can go, it's fine. I'll just.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to follow up on the EPCs, and there are two reasons. I mean, firstly, we want to Tony sort of expressed the point very clearly that the landlords need to be able to ensure that they do have the EPCs at the right levels. These are being tightened up in the near future. There was a suggestion that we go out and try and publicise this. And the suggestion was very clear that the relationship, the channel through which the town council goes to local businesses and landlords, it should be the town centre manager. But in the climate emergency working group, yeah, happy to provide the content. But we felt it'd be confusing if more than that, sort of extra content.
Yeah.
So everything going through town centre manager is sensible. But of course, there are two reasons for making sure that businesses are doing this. Firstly, is they continue to lease property because without an energy certificate of the right category, right quality, property won't be leasable. But of course, we also want the infrastructure of Henley to be as efficient as possible. And that's that's part of the Golden Climate Emergency Working Group, is to make sure. So providing this information will be a gain for all the stakeholders in the commercial side.
Isn't the legislation still expected?
No,
No, it's actually been.
it's in place.
Okay.
So the date has been set.
There's an April date.
It said April 23, and that was things like an F or the
E down.
registration, but it goes up to C in
27.
2027,
Yeah.
and then B in 2023, 2030. sorry. Now, the government may change the law, but actually you can't achieve an action in regard to climate emergency without actually addressing insulation, solar power, and so forth. But I'll provide the information.
Yeah, provide the
And also,
PDF or whatever it is. And,
well, I'll also
distribute.
provide information about the sites.
Yeah, to where to get information. I'm sure the government will also be distributing the same information in due time.
No. The shop in Emco,
Yeah.
new shop, it looks absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
I actually don't think it's right that we have 3 places on Bell Street alone that kids can go and pick up extortionately priced imported American sweets, phone cases from wherever, probably China because they're so cheap, and then also vapes, also disposable thing. I don't think it ties in with anything that we're trying to do with, trying to save the environment or anything like that. I don't think it's very green. I don't think it's healthy for our children. My own children have been personal targets of at least one of those 3 shops. I think it looks disgusting with the red tape around it. I looked up, it felt like I was in Reading, not Henley. And then behind that disgusting red advertising tape that they've stuck all over their disgusting windows, they haven't bothered to repaint after MK. They've stuck all their rubbish behind this red tape as well. Once you go inside the doors, which my children forced me into this morning, it's actually marginally better than the disgusting window displays. But perhaps in the first instance, a gentle nudge from our town centre manager might help them go the right way about things. Because already I don't like them here, I don't want them here. I don't think I'm the only one that feels that way. And I think that as a town, we should be doing our best to keep businesses like this out of it and the businesses that we want inside the town. So either fix up, look good, or cover off.
so I've been in touch with the owner, was in touch as soon as it changed hands. And they put their board up and everything like that. And I was obviously away when I heard about the kind of they've moved there and done. But he's told me that they are a temporary lease. He says he doesn't think they'll be there beyond the next 2 or 3 months up until Christmas. And they saw it as more as a kind of security measure for the building. So that there was someone in there being used rather than being a large unit that could be broken into, etc. Whilst they find a permanent long-term tenant, which is what their aim is. They've got lots of ideas. I've met with them. you know, they want to find the right tenant for it, they're not sure whether they're going to split it, whether they're going to do the restaurant, whether they're going to do the front and back, what they're going to do. But they wanted to have the kind of security, knowing that the building is kind of secure, and not just, you know, open to potential.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better, but I want to know that my children are secure and not open to them trying to sell them all kids, these vapes that look like sweets. I mean, they're coloured like sweets, they're flavoured like watermelon and strawberry and all this. I don't approve that. I don't like it. I don't like being sold next to American candy either. Like, here, have this candy and this vape. I find the whole thing incredibly uncomfortable. We have lots of children here, and I actually just want them gone. Sorry.
Right, thank you very much for
Well,
stating publicly what many feel private. Daisy,
Online feedback is horrific.
yes.
Yes.
There's a lot saying like, why would council do this? Thankfully, there are people going, let's be realistic, they don't have a lot of control, which I was quite pleased somebody else said it. But if the landlord maybe would be willing to put something, whether they want to release a press release or they want to say what they're doing with it, that we can then share, that might help, because there's a lot of bad blood with that.
Well,
If he does have a bit of an
I can ask, I mean, I clarified the situation with him yesterday
Yeah,
to make sure that that was exactly the case, because we've been asking the questions. So what he's told me is what he's told me, which is
Yeah.
that it's a temporary measure.
if he's happy to kind of have that as a quote for him, I can then share that around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a bad thing to spread that is the news, because there's a lot, like hundreds of negative comments.
Yeah.
But you need the quote from him.
Yeah, it's got to come from him, yeah.
Councillor Dawes.
Well, I was going to talk about something else, but this, I think, isn't it Next actually own it?
No.
Ultimately, who is it?
It was
the
the
only-
only,
it
it
was
was actually the only property owned by Enco.
Was it?
Yeah,
So
that's
it is-
why it was sold off. It's the only property they
So
actually own now.
Enco own it?
They did.
Oh, right.
And they sold it during the, when it was all dissolved and everything.
And who's
So,
bought it?
I think they're called Prime Retail Properties or something like that.
It's one who's anything,
Yeah,
but we really don't know.
a
Yes,
company,
yeah. I mean, the real answer is a boycott. Just tell your kids not to go there. You know, the whole thing's market forces. If nobody goes in there and buys anything, they'll only be there a couple of weeks, won't they? They won't be there. And in the Henley Standard, it said something like 5-year lease, didn't it?
Yeah, that's.
Which was, yeah, which is
That's
probably
just-
what has alarmed
hearsay.
everybody.
It's just hearsay.
Yes, yeah. So
Someone's
it's much more
made-
comforting what you had to say. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what I've been
Well,
told.
it's great that the town's reacting like that, and let's hope they react by saying, just don't go there, and the whole place will close because nobody wants to go there. But what I want to talk about was the
Can we just
EPCs, really.
finish off on that?
Mm.
Do you mind, rather than talk?
I don't mind, Ian.
With the permission of the chair, of course.
Go ahead.
Uh,
I'm looking to move on pretty soon, though.
Yeah, I won't keep you long. So just in case anyone didn't quite sort of get the drift of Councillor Vincent's remarks, the town council, you know, deplore the look and feel of the place and the products that it sells, and we make it clear that we don't support that. And as Councillor Dodds correctly says, we hope no one goes in the shop and that's it, so it's closed and soon gone. What rights and powers do we have under the planning regulations to on the appearance of shops like that? Are there any ways in which we can apply pressure, either to a landlord or to a tenant, about what it is that they can and can't do? Are there applications they need to make in order to do things like that? And do we have powers? Can we make representations, for example, to the District Council Planning Authority?
I know the signage has been reported. Sheridan might have more of a view on what your main question is.
Yeah, but any powers that we do have, I'm pleased to hear that we are exercising or attempting to exercise them through the District Council Planning Authority,
Yeah.
to make sure that we can influence in the way that so the commercial side of the town looks and feels in a way that we think that the residents of Henley want.
You put that much more nicely than I did.
Don't worry, Kelly, you'll get close.
The EPC situation is alarming. I cannot see this town reaching, all the shops in the town reaching level C in just over 3 years' time. I cannot see it happening. I shouldn't think any of them are anywhere near C at the moment. at all. You pointed out to me the 60 Plus Club Classic. This time, yeah, we own a lot of property in the town, exhibition centre over here. What would you suggest? First of all, we need an EPC, and then we need someone to come in and say, well, what would need to be done to get us up to a C? Because we've got to start now. 3 years will go by in a flash, and everybody will be using the same suppliers. So I throw it back to you, really. What can we do
When you
now?
have an EPC, underneath whatever, I mean, our house, we've done an awful lot into it. It was derelict when we got there. It had an F registration.
Yes.
When you actually have an EPC, underneath it, there's a whole lot of actions that can be taken to get it up to
Yes.
standard. And that's what we should be encouraging them to look at. The issue is whether they can actually, the landlords can presumably afford it, but the issue is whether they can actually charge more in rent.
Exactly. It's a nightmare, actually. It's a time bomb, this one.
Yeah.
I'd be very grateful if you could guide us on how we could get an EPC of the club, and then take it from there, really. Thank you.
Councillor Kendall, and then Thomas.
Sorry, to pick up on that American Candy Store under that debate, which is something I'm very concerned about. I note in the minutes from the last July meeting that under the police report, they said that all off licenses in town have been spoken to about supplying young people with alcohol and vapes. So I just wonder if the same request can be made of the police to go into other places which are selling these vapes, because they are a danger, and there's a recent panorama episode.
I think there is a
So,
national move to
Yeah.
ban disposable vapes in general.
Yeah.
Across the board.
so
Yeah.
just what other measures can we take to help keep heavy
I think
people
we just
safe and
ask PC Bar
things like that?
to keep on that high on the agenda.
Councillor, did you have a
So,
specific
actually,
response on that?
Yeah, on that. So Barb actually did that off the back of an email from me, because my daughter had been in one of those shops and had bought one of these vapes that I'd then taken back to one of these shops. And I then emailed all the pictures and stuff and asked Barb to do it, and then Barb obviously did that, why, because she knows all the local kids, she knows what they're all up to, where they're all up to it, she knows everything, and she's fantastic. So it doesn't even need an official request, it's just that any of us can just email Barb, she'd give us her email address, and she is happy, well, not unless, unless it's completely unreasonable and ridiculous, she's always happy to do that thing and support us.
Councillor Hunt.
Thank you. Paul, I've recently seen quite a lot of motorbikes, mopeds, etc., parking and driving on the marketplace. Which I can't imagine doing very much with York State. It's also very noisy. They often have engines on, it's polluting, etc. So, is there anything we can do to try and prevent this, as it's becoming ever more frequent?
Any suggestions?
Is there something we could prevent parking on pavement because it's a pedestrianised area? Or
It's difficult to police it when they kind of come and go, so. So I've seen them out there and they'll pull up and they'll take their hats off and go and get a coffee and come back and then they're off. So, and then you might, so it's just, how do you police it is a good question. I don't know.
can we have ANPR installed? Or you reckon, I don't know if the police would be able to do that and then number plates are automatically there and locked? Or could we ask Bob about it?
I know, we could ask, what powers there are for traffic enforcement, whether they can, keep more of a vigil on that, perhaps, that kind of thing.
That sort of thing,
I don't know, it's a difficult one because it's so transient, and it could be, sometimes there's some old guys with really nice Harleys pull up and you see they're passing through and you think, well,
Yeah.
are you really going to come down?
Or could we have signs put up that
in
say
that situation?
no parking, no motorbikes, just to make it clear they shouldn't be
Yeah.
there?
I mean, I've had it outside the town wall itself, we've got those bollards there, and, I thought, sorry.
Sorry, Chair. Parking working group. from one of our meetings in the past, where they're not looking at signage. They were gonna look at signage to go around the marketplace, it was muted, they're looking at signage. to go-
Yes, I think that's because we are wanting to implement short stay parking alongside on
Yeah, but it was also gonna be about people parking on that, motorbike parking on the marketplace as well, I think it was muted, that was gonna be discussed at the time.
Well, I mean, theoretically, that's already not allowed, that's already official, there's already a double yellow there, so technically it's already covered. Whether we want to add another sign or I don't know. But you.
I think if we did have a sign, it would be helpful, if only because then it's clear, if you're doing it with the knowledge that you're doing something you shouldn't do.
I did say perhaps the bollards outside the town hall, people pull on there quite often, maybe there's leaders on those bollards.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like staying in a hotel when there's so many stickers everywhere, and you just feel like you're welcome.
Okay, so we have two more comments from Professor Hoskins was first, then Royston, and I think we'd like to move on.
Okay, this is about the banking hub, and specifically your comment in your report about speaking to Link and Cash Access UK about improved deposit solutions. One of the, I mean, I've discovered there's an ATM at the Shell garage. And there's one at Top Shops as well as Sainsbury's.
Fantastic.
And I actually went to Morton Show last weekend and realised that there's an awful lot which is requiring cash payment. But the issue that came up when we started discussing this was not just about ATMs, but about how small retailers could actually deposit cash. So could you explain what the improved deposit solutions may will be about?
There's still no kind of fixed firm decision as to what it's going to look like entirely, because they haven't decided, but they have, the feedback I got from the person at Link was that they've identified that improved deposit solution was required. So there's a requirement which needs to be solved. And that may be in the form of an ATM with deposit facilities, perhaps at the post office or something like that. But actually how that is going to manifest itself hasn't been decided. So that's where they're at in their piece of work on improving deposits facilities. And I know that the two very nice chaps at the post office are right on top of it in terms of dealing with the post office, because they have meetings with them, put forward the case for being part of that solution. So it's not quite decided how it's going to appear and what it's going to be, but I think there's definitely seems to be progress being made through what it's going to be a solution.
Councillor Royston.
I was just going to, sorry about harking back to the marketplace and park.
Do you want to talk about cash access?
I did actually.
Go first. Sorry.
It's not only paying money in, but it's getting money out. Now, problem that we have at the club is because it's a charity, we've been getting it out with 2 signatures on a cheque. You can't get a card with 2 signatures. So at the moment, our treasurer has to go all the way to Woodley, which is closing shortly, and then to Reading, to be able to draw any money out to reimburse our chef or whatever. It's a nonsense, and the banks are not being helpful to her. So it's not just a matter of depositing, but we've got to make it very clear, how do the charities, loads of charities in this town, how do they get money out according to the charity rules? I just put it out there.
Yeah, I think we're in a kind of a grey space at the moment when there isn't a solution being provided that
I think
works.
they're appalling, the banks, absolutely appalling.
They've made decisions to pull out, and then
Just money bottom line, that's all they're concerned about.
What the point I was making in the first point, just quickly, is that I'm looking in touch with 1 or 2 so far, bit of initial research, ATM providers who perhaps we could have our own ATM in town that is on council land, perhaps. I'm looking at it as a kind of a good idea.
And mobile banking, which is another
Mobile
one.
banking,
Is another
you know,
one.
perhaps.
If we knew they were always here it's 10 o'clock on a
Yeah.
Tuesday morning for 2 hours, we could draw money out and
Yeah.
pay money in,
Yeah,
and the banks fund it.
I thought perhaps either that or, if there is a piece of council land, we provide it as a service to the town.
Yeah,
Find a place where it works. So I'm doing a bit of kind of initial work on
Brilliant.
that. I've had a couple of calls.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wyson, final word.
Just very quickly go back to the parking out on Marketplace. It is a problem, it's, and it happens regularly, it's antisocial and it's damaging. But parking on the pavement is not illegal, driving on it is. And yeah, we should refer it back to the parking group. I'm not a fan of putting out, this happens regularly, people suggest putting up signs that we shouldn't have ball games, we shouldn't have, and all sorts of things, the marketplace. I'm sympathetic to the reasons that people give, but I'm not in favour generally of putting up signs about what people shouldn't do. A little, something on the bother, not perhaps not a bad idea, but let's take that back to the parking working group. But it's also worth bearing in mind, there's a government consultation on parking on pavements that's going on, whether to make it illegal in its own right. And it's likely the law will change in the next year or two in that area.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. We're going to move on now to item 7, which is finances, to consider the management accounts to May 2023, on page 17. Any comments? Councillor Hoskins.
Just a question about the Christmas festivities. It suggests that the budget is, well, the year-end forecast is £12,000 expenditure. I thought that the expenditure on the lights was going to be around 50,000.
I think that's capital rather than general, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. We're spending 55,000 on capital on an investment on lights, which will work over many years. Again, that's the idea. So that cost is comes out to a different budget. You'll see that if you read the agenda for the finance next week.
Oh, I look forward to that.
Yes, so it should be there for the capital expenditure. Again, revenue is comes out of a different budget, and these are revenue lines.
Any other comments on the accounts?
Sorry.
Councillor Candia?
Can someone help me understand the civic pride? And the row that is.
Civic pride.
Is that just general?
It's
That's
no,
not
so
just one-off
the
event?
civic pride,
Oh, it
covers
covers all of
any
these.
individual, so that total civic pride is
Right.
those two end up.
That's different to the civic service. Okay. that's-
Sure, I can talk to you about
Yeah,
something
that's
like
right.
that.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
The accounts are not always easy to follow. You can always contact our accountant and ladies or town clerk or I'm sure Councillor Hunt is kindly offered as well to give it to us. So yes, now I'm happy to answer questions on that sort of work. So they're easy to understand than they used to be, and as a result of one or two comments from including the chair, the prints are bigger nowadays.
Thank you. Still want more glasses, haven't you?
I have to take my glasses off to read them.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you approve? Okay, yeah, thank you. Do we need to vote on this one?
I think it's noted.
It says consider, but no recommendation. All those in favour of having considered those? Okay, item 8 is the Oxfordshire County Council deep cleanse. So we have a further update from.
It's basically just to decide, I mean, once a year, OCC, they come into town and they do what they call a deep cleanse.
Yeah.
Which is basically they do a bit of a sweep, a bit of a little bit, it's a weeding. It's not quite a deep class deeply, but is there any areas of town anyone feels would benefit from having a sweep? And a little-
Presumably we've given a list in previous years.
Yeah, we just suggest any areas like something like put them in a park street sometimes is
Yeah.
suggested, or if there's any area that everyone knows is particularly weedy, rubbishy, and then we send it off to OTC, and then they hopefully add it to their list. And
There's a bit of Henley Bridge that still needs a clean, but I think that's been dealt with by Councillor Garrett.
Fair enough. Anybody have any specific areas of concern that MCC may not know about? Mr. Candy?
God, that little cut through between here and Winter is
Thanks.
messy.
Yeah, it's recently changed hands in terms of landlord. And also they've changed hands in terms of people who are cleaning it, in terms of the contract. So they are appointing a new cleaning contractor. But that's been delayed because of the change in ownership. So, but the new agent Simmons are in charge of maintenance and also marketing. So they are appointing a new cleaner to get that, and I'm on them all the time, telling them to get on with it, because
Also, they're responsible for cleaning all, including the alleyway.
yeah, between now and then. Well, that's their patch.
I did notice about a month ago that it was very dirty and tiny one evening around 8 o'clock. And I noticed about a week ago that it looked really good. So I don't know whether that's a trend. Two data points don't really make a trend, but those are the two things I've noticed recently. There has been an improvement, and it was looking poor.
Well, at the end of the day, they want to market the place and get it filled up, which they are doing now, so it's in their best interest to make it.
Can we lose the plastic flowers, please?
Which ones are those?
They're the ones in the trees and the ones over
Oh,
there.
no.
I don't like plastic flowers. I like real flowers. I'm sure that you're not listening.
No, no one's replacing any flowers.
Plastic ones.
Plastic.
Oh, plastic,
Yeah.
Councillor Hunt?
I don't know if this falls under OCC, but the footpath behind or this Freeman's Meadow is very overgrown at the moment, it's very difficult to pass.
Yes. So
Yeah,
it can
it's
get quite
actually-
big as well. So I know a
Yes.
couple of years ago, I think Park staff threw a load of wood chips down there to make it less muddy.
That'll be us though. But,
Is that actually-
we own Freeman's Meadow.
No, but it's the
Well,
public
I
footpath,
don't know.
it's not Freeman's Meadow itself, it's the public footpath that goes behind it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the footpath will be us.
I don't know.
So it's
We've
public,
helped
it's-
before, but I don't think it's us.
It's not us, I think we've just done little bits.
Oh, I would have thought it's OCC as a public highway, right away.
That does make the landowner's responsibility to keep it clear.
But either way, that
That
would
path
be
stretches up and down, yeah.
It's one or other, isn't it?
But it could well be that the path is on land only through the So we have done improvements in the past, alleviate the mud, and
The little recess that's, I can't remember which two shops it is nowadays, just down Bell Street. So that area,
and
whichever two shops they are. I can't say.
Sainsbury's and Boots.
Yes, I mean, that can look to the outside, but again, that's privately owned.
We've been in touch with them, they have cleaned it, time to time, but,
No, just let them get on and do
Well, yeah, I think
I don't think anything specific to add.
Going back to the question, and we welcome suggestions from anyone who's listening online.
Yeah.
From if the Henley Standard and Henley Herald want to publicise that for areas that need cleaning up around the town, we're open to passing those on to the county council. And thanks to the county council for giving us the opportunity. I'm sure the lack of sort of ideas isn't that there aren't any. In fact, we can't think of them offhand.
And of course, we're pretty proactive in fixing a lot of these ourselves when they come up.
We do,
The
yes.
Starbucks corner, for example. Okay, so we'll move along to item 8, which is item 9 rather, which is progress reports. Last page of the agenda, Thames Water coming up again, I believe. Yes, repointing of the York stone paving slabs. that'll become slightly more urgent. But we've got to wait for Thames Water to finish and then assess what the marketplace looks like. Henley Bridge repairs, graffiti, still with OCC. Okay, missing bollards. Okay, visit Henley website, mentioned earlier on, still ongoing. And we have the- right.
We did, reach out to, Wallingford.
Wallingford got a repair kit,
Wallingford, they were helpful in terms of putting the word out to their members, to see if there's anyone interested in doing something over here. That's as far as I've got since the last meeting.
Someone suggested a venue to me the other day, which was quite good, and I can't remember it is.
No,
Forgotten.
It's in the moment.
The ones you've got here, Rugby Club and Scout Club, both good, aren't they? They're-
Well, ideally you wanted it as near to the town centre as possible. I think the 60+ club got mentioned children.
Well, no, it's Saturday and we're.
But there might be a
we're
dead
booked
body
on
on
a
the
Saturday.
But,
Yeah, and also.
that's the sort of thing that would be good though. It's got car parking, it's got space.
It has, we don't want the mess. We
Yeah,
don't
no,
want oil on our carpets and things like that.
But this is the sort of thing that we're looking for.
Yes.
It's something that's reasonably central, that
Yes.
people will be aware of and can easily pass by. Rugby club's not a bad one, but it's
We park up there.
you're not going to
and walk along.
get people passing by and noticing it.
Councillor Candia.
Yes, so really great that this is carrying on to be looked at. For people's awareness at the YMCA, they did a recent Bring Your Bike for Free and have it looked at and repaired, which was a great initiative. And, you know, I don't know, like the YMCA, I know it's not ticking the boxes in terms of being central, but it's got car parking if people are bringing big items, potentially big items to be repaired. So that was just one comment. The other question is, so when you're talking, you're reaching out to Wallingford, is that for someone to run it or for people to have the skills? Like, so there's something about a venue, but there's also coordinating it and then also having the people with the skills in order to offer their time and expertise as a volunteer.
yeah.
So I just wondered if
It was really just to see if there's anyone out there who wanted to take the initiative and you know, bring their knowledge and skills to Henley, you know, in the kind of fairly local area. Because I think as I said at the last meeting, it's not, you know, I don't know anyone personally, but there must be someone out there who does this kind of thing and would maybe be interested in doing something here. So, you know, it's a general call out to anyone who wants to come in and, you know, take this on as a project, and then we can jump in and go, we've got a venue for you, and off you go, you know, so we'll support it. But we need that one person, or that group of people who want to take the initiative, really.
Yeah, has to
Is
be a
it
community there.
possible to put it as part of this newsletter or to put the call out or to, you know, do some communication about it?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Good avenue.
That's Hoskins.
I saw something recently about OCC talking about encouraging more electric vehicle charging points. And I don't know where that lies. Is that within town centre management? Or,
I don't know, probably.
I mean, I think
Transport strategy group.
Yeah.
So which calls to plan?
well, I'll actually provide it to whomever.
I would say providing that to Stefan as the chair of the town.
Transporty stuff. that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
That definitely comes with transport. They've been looking at this for a long time. So Stefan and the transport strategy group are the place to go, I think.
Thank you. So, thank
It's not related to the progress report, it's something kind of separate.
Go on then,
Okay.
last word of the day.
Thank you. Has anyone else noticed anything to do with red kites swooping down and grabbing food off of innocent passersby?
They are
They are well-
particularly fond of Buddy's Burgers. What I read
Okay.
online is true,
And children,
and children.
they're with the food, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
They don't take the children.
If they
Yeah.
like a cat, I have one going spares.
I mean, is there anything that we can be doing to deter? 'Cause my.
Well,
I had
every
a- I
time
had a
this
visitor-
conversation comes up online, the comment is
Yeah.
always like, people need to stop feeding them. Which is fair enough. Unfortunately, the horse is bolted. They know that humans are a source of food and they're not going to unlearn that. People aren't necessarily feeding them, they're just having barbecues and picnics and they're sleeping down.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a tackle that.
So one thing that has been recommended is that in a place like the open square, you have like umbrellas that would then be, you know, the barrier between the birds spotting and swooping down.
Yeah,
And then also whether that is something you might want to consider encouraging the local
I don't know that that
cafes.
would work. I had them in my garden and they came down by the nut tree and they went round and round. And they're very, very skillful. They'll come underneath the big, my big nut tree.
yeah.
They'll come in there and then
It's
they
much better off
do
making
it.
people aware that they are
Yes.
dangerous, so just be alert, there are red kites.
So
They
how do you-
are very skillful, but they're also quite lazy. They much prefer a clean path where
They
they can
prefer
swoop
that.
in and grab it. and
That's how
follow.
hungry they are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the seagulls are the same, aren't they? If you're down the
Yeah.
road, you know, you'll get the chips taken.
Unfortunately, it's been a very, very successful reintroduction program.
Yes.
It's been very successful.
Maybe,
For the future, we did get in touch with the Society of Kites, and they said there wasn't a lot you could do, you could try hanging dangly things around and things like that. We got in touch with all the restaurants, the
Right.
cafes, and there's only one that's had any problems reported to them. We sort of said, have you had people with issues with food, and they all said no, literally one of them, I think, I can't remember which one it was, it might be Gail, said they'd had somebody, I mean, partly had he stood outside, and he had a sandwich taken out of his hand. But, you know, we also have the budgeting up, so we have that which comes around, there are some umbrellas that do that occasionally, but basically said there's not a lot really. It's education. Yeah, we did look into it earlier in the year, but we also said to us about it, so there's, you know, it's very difficult, there's not a lot we can do.
Thing is, they've got sharp claws, and people have had the skin broken and they've had nasty scratches and cuts and things. And
Yeah.
given what they usually feed on, there's a risk of infection there, so
Yeah.
it is a bit of a public health issue.
Yeah.
Or will
And
become one in the
my
future.
friend, I had a visitor on Saturday and they had their ham sandwich taken out of their hand and they showed me.
They had marks.
They had marks.
Where
but
did
it- down by the river, is it the Little Angel? The Angel?
Okay, there,
Down that-
yes,
Where the
yeah.
solar compressor bin is, that bit.
Oh, Singers Park.
Singers Park,
It was
yeah.
there.
Yeah, well, I know they've been swooping down on people in Mill Meadows, so they're also hanging around in that area. Unfortunately, they're very smart, very skillful, and they've learned already. So I don't know what we're doing here. Right,
They are lovely to watch and they're lovely to hear, aren't they?
I just wish they'd stay in the sky.
Yes.
Visitors here are just enthralled by them. Did you see them? Yeah. They-
Right, thank you very much, everybody. Meeting closed, thank you. Bye-bye.
Just
Bye, Sheridan.
59 minutes.
Oh,